Welcome back, everyone, to Merge Conflict, your weekly. Is my audio working correct? Is this the right microphone, Mr. Frank Kruger, my co-host? I'm James Montemagno.
James Montemagno, you sound wonderful. You always sound wonderful. It doesn't matter what mic you're using, and I definitely hear you tapping it, and we can all enjoy you tapping your microphone during the podcast.
Sometimes in Zencaster, it's just a big, like right now, it's just like a big, like ridiculous. Like, do I sound okay? You've been talking to me for 30 minutes. Don't tell me that I sound like butt.
Something.
Okay.
I would have said something. Your waveform is hitting hard. My waveform is tiny. That's how we keep it. People don't want to hear me. They want to hear from you.
You don't even have a waveform. I think I'm gonna vibe code our own podcast platform this weekend. I'm pretty sure this is gonna happen.
Why haven't you vibe coded? I mean, you own every other domain. This one should just be
Vibecast.
Soundbite.fm.dev.ai.
Oh, I like that. All right. Well, welcome back, everyone, to Merge Conflict, your weekly developer podcast. I'm one of your hosts, James Montemagno. With me, 18-time Microsoft MVP, Mr. Frank Kruger. How's it going, buddy?
Woo, 18. I wish that was the actual number. I got reset. Hey, James, I did. Hi. They let me back in. I don't know who I know over there, but they keep letting me in. It's kind of nice. Yeah, looks like I can keep some of my Azure sites up. Yeah. That's kind of the important thing these days.
You've been podcasting, you've been blogging. Maybe one day you'll merge pull requests on SQLite-net. Who knows? The world may never know. Or maybe Eric's just going to do it for you.
It seems like I break it every time I merge. So I'm actually trying to do fewer merges on it. But anyone, I apologize if you are actually waiting for a SQLite-net update. It's Android's fault. It's Google's fault. The code's perfect. It's just they're changing Android stuff. So we have to do a release. Not my fault. It's Google. Blame Google.
I think it's that, but I think there's also a CVE that needs immediate repair. I think it's already pushed out from Eric, so don't worry. So.
I believe these apps run in a sandbox, James. What is a CVE in the mobile world?
Well, here's the thing, Mr. Frank Kruger. What you don't know is that SQLite-net is multi-platform and runs everywhere. Just because you only write mobile apps, we have done an entire podcast in which we talked about how people and yourself run SQLite-net on the server.
It's true. It's actually kind of wonderful to run it on the server. It's so much easier to deploy and do backups and all that stuff. I even added like some functions to the API surface to make backing up even simpler. So like for me, it's a one-click download to get a backup of like my entire database. It's really wonderful.
It's pretty cool.
And restores are just as easy too because it's a file. What do you do when you got to restore it? You delete the old one, put the backup in there.
Reboot.
Back. Sometimes you don't even have to reboot.
Refresh the page. It's there. Well, interestingly enough, talking about mobile development, I wanted to go back to our roots a little bit here because I have an upcoming conference session at VS Live Redmond in Redmond, Washington at the Microsoft offices conference area thingy. Okay. And I have a session on .NET MAUI.
Oh, sweet. You're back. You're really going back to your roots. Is this, okay. So mobile MAUI, Windows MAUI, Android MAUI, what kind of MAUIs we doing?
I'm talking about AI development with .NET MAUI, baby.
Of course you are.
Let me explain, Frank Kruger. Let me explain. Okay. So a lot of people, and when I give talks, I do nowadays, I used to do a lot of like intro talks, like intro to mobile backend as a service, intro to .NET MAUI, intro to Xamarin Forms, intro to SQLite databases, intro to whatever, right? That was my bread and butter. I love teaching people the basics. And now I do a lot of co-pilot sessions and vibe coding and how work has changed, all this stuff. And I wanted to challenge myself. The cool part about conferences is that if you submit a session and it gets accepted, you got to go do that session.
Turns out. That is the Achilles heel of being a presenter, is actually doing the presentation. Not sure that's the right metaphor, but the Odyssey is coming up, so apropos.
Yeah, and the problem that I have, Frank, usually even with intro stuff, is that like I don't read the code, and I don't write the code, but I do write the code. I don't type the code, I type the prompts that write the code. And that's been pretty firm for 2 years. Like 99% of what I do is prompt to code and review of said code. And I know the code. I can read the code, obviously. I know what the code is doing.
You do read it. Okay.
I do. It depends.
Okay. Yeah. Because I was just doing a code review of some PRs, which was, let's call it 95 to 99% AI generated. But I still do the PR because I stand by, they're going to make it work one way or another. The AI is going to make it work, but it might create technical debt down the road. And I'm constantly trying to minimize technical debt down the road. So I'm PR reviewing. I joke, it's like I'm actually doing a lot less logic PR reviewing and more like organizational architecture and organizational. That's kind of what I'm PR checking these days.
That's kind of what I'm doing, especially I get a lot of PRs that are AI generated. And people even say like, oh, I did this with this or whatever. That's cool. Then I have the AI review the AI, I review the thing. I think once you have an established project, as long as you're sort of following, and even myself following kind of core principles of like one feature, one bug fix per PR, not huge refactorings, check your linting, don't change your stuff. It makes it just like a normal PR. But it does make a challenge for me as a presenter, because that's not what I do all the time. I'm a manager. But when I want to present and do the basics and typing the code, I can still do that. But I challenged myself to do something a little bit different for this talk, which was I had a conversation with John Dick at the MVP Summit in March. And he was like, hey, listen, I know that you, still do a lot of Maui work, but still do a lot of other work. And you're really deep in the code, but have you been following what we're doing? And I go, John, I gotta be honest with you. It's like, if it's not built into the tool, then like, not as much, because I'm a big, like, if it's in the box type of guy. And he's like, cool, we're about to put a lot of it in the box. And I was like, oh, cool. So I decided that would be the talk I wanted to give. So it's a talk about how AI development is evolving .NET MAUI for the team and also for you as a developer. So there's a lot of how the team is adopting AI. And I worked with David Ortnow and John Dick and Gerald and the engineering team to like get insight into how they're adopting AI and the processes in a huge open source project like .NET MAUI. But I also wanted to kind of go deeper into 3 specific key pieces of technology that they have delivered and are kind of in the box. And that's what I want to cover today in 3 segments. And they are enabling, not all of them are AI features, but they're developer productivity tools that end up being a superpower when doing agentic development.
Yeah. I'm actually excited. I think I know 2 of the 3 that you want to talk about. And I got to have good conversations at the MVP Summit also. But I'm always scared to death about what I'm allowed to talk about and what I'm not allowed to talk about. So I'm so glad that you're leading this parade, because you know what's actually being released and all that kind of stuff. I love being an MVP, but one of the worst parts of it is not knowing what you can and cannot talk about, because it's so confusing sometimes. So anyway, I've been hoping to talk about this stuff too. So I'm curious what your 3 topics are. I'm ready for at least 2 of them.
The very first one is the one that every single app developer today can take advantage of, including non.NET MAUI developers. To be honest with you, if you're just an iOS and Android developer, you may also find this nifty. And it is called the .NET MAUI CLI, a command line interface. Right. Yes. So for many years, we have been locked into this ecosystem of Visual Studio and then the VS Code with the VS Code extension. And then when we needed to do certain things, we'd have to drop down into the ADB, the Android Debug Bridge sort of CLI tool to do stuff, or also the Xcode CLI tooly thingy as well. But the team has put together and they shipped, it's just a global .NET CLI tool that you can install, and it's called the .NET MAUI CLI, and it does a bunch of .NET MAUI things. So here's what it's going to do, Mr. Frank Krueger. One, there's a Maui Doctor. This is probably my favorite one, which runs environmental diagnostics. It can auto-fix issues for you. So if you don't have the JDK, you don't have Xcode, it can do this all for you. It can list the devices.
Does anyone ever have the JDK? I have never walked up to a machine and had the JDK. That is, I used to think the worst part of Android development was the Android SDK. No, it's getting the JDK onto that machine.
Well,
So
Well,
I didn't want to interrupt you, but I love Doctor tools.
well, think of it like this. This one command fixes so much, because imagine you do install .NET, you install the Maui workload, and this might actually do it for you automatically. And you install the CLI. And then actually it would be even better is you install the CLI, you at least need .NET, and then it installs a workload, but it would install everything for you. It'd set up your emulators, your JDK, your Android SDKs, your iOS simulators. It would just provision everything for you automatically, set all of your environment variables, bingo bango, you're good to do. I did an entire 30-minute video on like VS Code Maui setup. Like, no, now it's just install the CLI, Maui Doctor, YOLO, let's do it.
Yes. Just keep replying. Yes. Yeah, I noticed the tooling's gotten a bit better. Like if you try to do an Android build from the command line, it's going to be like, hey, buddy, we actually have a crazy target you can use that will install a bunch of stuff. So that's been my way. But even honestly, using that target, there's like an install Android target or something like that in build. But even that, it's honestly still kind of complicated. So I'm excited for this Doctor tool. I ran the Doctor tool on my computer, which by the way works fine. And so I was like, well, it's kind of like when you go to the doctor and you're healthy and you're like, please don't find anything because like the machine's working.
That's where it works.
Say something's wrong, I'm gonna be very upset. And so I got warnings, but it turns out warnings because I can update my versions. I don't need to update my versions. Those should not be warnings. Those should just be, here's your lollipop, good job, your machine is working. By the way, you could update if you want. Shouldn't be a warning. Warnings are like, you got to eat healthier. You got to jog a little bit more. That's what a warning is.
Yeah.
Doctors should just be like, if you're in the mood, if the year changes, you might want to update some of these things.
I just ran it now and I did get 2 warnings and I did get update available and workload set available.
No. It should be like, go for a jog. That's your warning.
But much green, and I do like that. So that is fine by me. So that's really good. But let me just list off all the other stuff. So you have you can list your devices that are connected devices or emulators. On Android, you can just do a full interactive install, set up the Android environment, SDK listing, SDK install, JDK install, emulator creation, emulator starting, emulator stopping, emulator deleting, Xcode listing, runtime listing, simulator listing, simulating starting, stopping, and deleting. I don't know when you delete a simulator, but you could. I'll tell you why in a second. Profile. There's an entire app profiling tool that captures traces with .NET Trace automatically. And then there's a bunch of other things that we'll talk about in a little bit into another tool that the CLI integrates into. But this does all your Android, Apple platform, device management, and app profiling, which is super duper cool. And it'll give you like a speed, whatever the speed trap thing.
Speed trap.
Speed trap.
It's not at all what it's called, but we'll call it speed trap.
Speed.
Speedometer.
Speedometer.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
.NET profiling has been around for a while, and I actually have like a separate console app I generally do when I want to because I just have a bunch of tests that I want to run that I want to keep profiles for. So I haven't tried out the app profiling, but I'm excited to because that's the real world stuff. And it'd be fun to actually see if the profiling works on device. I might be asking for a little bit too much there, but that would be fun to find out if we could get that to work.
Yeah. Well, so the cool part about this is that this is just a CLI that works anywhere. And then obviously the nice thing is that, once you have a CLI, your agents can become aware of said CLI. And you can do CLI things, which is really nice for all intents and purposes when you're working with coding agents. However, I like a GUI, Mr. Frank Kruger.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're here because we like GUIs. CLIs are great if you live in the 1970s or if you have a 300 baud connection to a mainframe computer. But who in 2026 would use a CLI?
Not
maybe
me.
DoorDash. If you need DoorDash, I think you use a CLI.
Yeah. So John Dick has a Windows, Mac, and Linux app. It's called Maui Sherpa, and it is your guide to development environment needs. Now, here's the cool thing about the Maui Sherpa is that it's built on the .NET MAUI CLI, but more. So
Yeah.
it gives you a full visualization of all of your devices, simulator, all of your SDKs, your JDK packages. It has the Maui Doctor built into it. Actually has Copilot integration built into it. It has app profiling built in, so you can actually create a new profiling session. You can point it at a platform, at a launch target, like an actual device in release or whatever it is, and profile it there, review it, capture it, do all that stuff. But he took it a step further because it obviously is a GUI to do all this stuff. And my favorite thing is that he added more. So things that really wouldn't be in a .NET MAUI CLI, but what .NET MAUIs or even just mobile developers would need. So for example, he has Xcode management. Remember Xcodes? You don't need it anymore. It's right here.
This freaked me out. I couldn't believe he went through all that effort because, like, you would think like downloading an Xcode and installing easy peasy. No, because you got to be signed into Apple. So there's a whole like sign in chain you have to do. Which was funny. Sorry, side tangent. When you first run the GUI app, it's like, I need a place to put secrets. I'm like, well, what secrets are you recording, Mr. App, sir?
Mr. John Dick, what are you doing here? What you doing here, buddy?
I mean, it says it's local, so I trust it. I totally trust John. But at the same time, I'm like, what secrets? Well, it turns out stupid login stuff, like if you have to sign into Apple and things like that. Plus, there is a secret section. I have no idea what I'm supposed to put in the secret section, but whatever. That's for power users.
Secrets.
Not a power
secrets. Frank,
I just put my secrets. I'm gonna write little love letters to the app. No, it's pretty cool that there's the Xcode management. I'm not sure. I love my Xcodes app.
It's good.
I might try this though. Yeah.
Well, my favorite part actually is if you go, there's installed, available, and you can show betas and RCs, but also there's runtimes. Click on runtimes for me.
Runtimes are
you ever like, hey, my hard drive's getting filled up? And you're like, how did that happen? Is it because I have iOS 18.1, 18.5, 18.6, 26.5, 15.5, 16.4, 26.2 simulators that are all 10 to 15 gigs each? Is that
James,
why?
I might need those. You know,
God.
I might wake up one night and just be like, you know what? I want to do some iOS 15 development. I'm just in that kind of mood.
Sometimes you are. Sometimes you are.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible. Thank goodness I bought the big hard drive on this computer, so I haven't noticed as much. But back when I had the small hard drive, I noticed. Because each one of these stupid things is like 7 gigabytes. So yeah, you notice after a few of them.
That's a good one. Like, and what's interesting is if you boot up the most recent Xcodes, it doesn't show you the old simulators. It'll only show you like the recent families. So I don't know what's up with that, but I'm sure Xcode does that too. But he took it a step further. So he did, if you not just, so once you need to log into this, but also if you set up a app connect thing, like identity provider, you can see all of your registered devices. You can register devices. You can see and manage your bundle IDs, certificates, provisioning profiles, do push notification testing. On Android, you can store your key stores. You can manage your SDKs, your emulators, your devices, and you can put your publishing profiles inside of it. You can also manage your root certificates on your machine for some reason. I don't know why and what any of them mean, but they're there.
I don't know why it's there either, but I like clicking it because I'm like, why do I have so many root certificates? And maybe do I need these other ones? More roots, the better. That's what I always say.
I reformatted a machine once, Frank, and when I reformatted it, it didn't install the root certificate, the intermediate. So I have 0 root certificates, but I have a bunch of intermediate certificates, and it's the WWDR G series that you need. You need the G series.
Those are the crazy ones. Okay.
And it's so hard to find those and install those on the machines. And if you don't have those, you can't install like self-signed certs and all this other stuff to actually get your profiles to work.
Yeah, I had to do it manually once. And honestly, I can't remember if it was a Mac or a Windows, but I had some ancient operating system. And they're just like, we don't give out root certificates anymore. or they don't, it wasn't getting updates or anything. But you can go on Nefarious. They're not nefarious because they're just giving out public root certificates.
That's true.
But you can go to nefarious websites and download certificates. Yeah, this is all sounding like Windows, and like somehow actually update like the machine's root certificates. Sorry, this is a tangent that means absolutely nothing. But I'm noticing I only have WWDR G3 and G6. Like maybe I need G2, G4, G5. I don't know. I'm just going to install them because why not? More roots, the better.
Maybe. Yeah, I only have 3 and 6, so I feel safe for some reason. I don't know. But some are expiring.
The truth is, the fewer roots, the better, everyone.
Yeah. I only have a few. So anyways, I thought this was super cool. And actually, it's relatively easy to set up your identity too. It's a little bit funky UI. Yeah. Like there's a settings. You got to go to your settings. You got to give it a P8 file and do all this stuff. But it's pretty easy to set up.
Yeah, and I want to go back to the provisioning profile support because that is cool. I haven't actually signed in with my App Store Connect or whatever it needs for that one.
Yep, it's easy.
But I still use the website. I still use Apple's janky website to do a lot of those. I don't know what other people do, but I still use the website. So this will be really fun. I hope it's all in this app. And actually, that's probably the part of the app I'm going to use the most, to be thoroughly honest. So I'm excited to give that part a real spin.
Yeah, it's super fun. So give it a try. Give it a look. It's open source. So I've already made a pull request for a few tweaks that I have just on the website for easier installation, but it's pretty nice. So what's cool is that...
should say... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
We should say he has a fun distribution method that he's got. On the Mac side, there's the classic zip, a .app and a zip file. That's how I roll. That's how
classic.
I live. But there's also a brew. So I really appreciate that he went through the effort so that you can brew install these puppies if you want to.
Yeah.
I didn't go that route, but I think that they're actually signed vaguely correctly because I didn't have to do the song and the dance putting the app on my machine. So unlike I'm going to go with 99% of Mac developers out there, John actually I think signed this thing correctly.
Yeah, he did, because I've gone through it. I've signed multiple apps now. So Tiny Clips, obviously, and I just worked with Burke Holland on Resize Me, which is a small app that he built that I ported to Mac that allows you to set a preset size, and you do Control Option R, and it'll take the window and resize it. So if you're like, I want everything 1920 by 1080, it'll just like, boom, do it and center it, which is really cool. So I just did that one, and I went through the same signing process. And you have to do the whole Sparkle rigmarole, the whole shenanigans. And once you have all the keys and stuff set up, it's not that hard. But you got to go through the signing process of it to harden the runtime or whatever it is. Or maybe that's separate. I don't know what I did. I just did a bunch of things. But no, it's really nice. I do appreciate that when that happens. And he also has it on Windows and Winget, which I appreciate. And yeah, so all good stuff there. The thing that I think is really neat is 2 other things. There's actually 2 things and there's 4 things and not 3 things. But if we now focus and shift our attention to like Maui agentic development XYZ, there's 2 things to know. One's short and sweet. We've already talked about one, which is the .NET skills repo, github.com/.NET/skills. There is a slew of .NET MAUI skills. So things working with collection view and accessibility and design and all these other things are built into the box that you can just grab. But more importantly, if you have VS Code and you have the .NET MAUI VS Code extension, it may only be pre-release. I only roll pre-release, but it may be in stable, is that there is now a custom agent for Maui. And
Nice.
What's neat about this is it's very large, but there is actually like a WinForms agent, a WinUI agent, and now a Maui agent. And I exclusively, when I'm doing WinUI development, use the WinUI one, and it is so good. And the Maui one, butter. And what's great about it is that it gives it not just all the access to all the skills and the capabilities, it gives the guidance in which the team that created the thing, like how to do it. So all that collection view stuff, all the accessibility, so all these things is really big. It's a big old system prompt. but it's very, very nice. And you just get that. You turn it on. The superpower of this is when you combine that with the CLI, because it now knows about the CLI, right? Through the prompt.
Yeah.
So it can do all these things, it can run all these stuff. But the team went a little bit further. Is the VS Code extension has a bunch of tools built in to like, actually, you don't have to use the CLI. You can just like boot a device, get the device list. But they built an MCP server, a model context protocol server, and an HTTP server on top of that, which is the DevFlow MCP server for .NET MAUI. DevFlow. Yes. It's a comprehensive testing, automation, and debugging toolkit for .NET MAUI. It provides an in-app, I'm reading the description, an in-app agent for visual tree inspection and element interaction. It includes the CLI with 50 plus commands, a Blazor WebView CDP bridge, and an MCP server for AI agent integration. So DevFlow is a series of things. It includes the CLI, but you don't have to be using it. But for example, when you are using the CLI, it exposes a bunch of DevFlow things like tree, which is like a visual tree, a screenshot, starting the MCP server, starting the broker, which allows the agent to talk into your simulator or your device running. You can do element interaction, so tapping elements, filling in text, scrolling, basically playwright, file storage access, Blazor debugging tools, network monitoring, and advanced performance analysis tools, logging tools, navigation tools, platform information tools, ability to get preferences and setting preferences, doing recordings of interactions, sensor calibration, starting and stopping background jobs, setting themes to your application. So you're change the theme to dark, and it just does it, right? And it does all of this. So when you do this, you can say, let's implement this feature, and then you can say, and let's go ahead and test the functionality using the DevFlow MCP. It will boot your application. It will walk through everything, and then it will test all the interactions, find things, take screenshots along the way, report back its status, and self-fix itself in real time, which is kind of bananas.
Fantastic, because this is what's needed. This is, I think people are, I like calling it closing the loop. So, because normally you tell the AI, implement this feature, and it's like, I totally did. It's the most beautiful UI ever. And then you go check it out in the app, and you're like, oh no, this is terrible. And then you screenshot it. Then you try to find that file on your computer and try to drag that little screenshot into the little chat window. And you're like, no, look at this screenshot. It's terrible. And it's like, oh yeah, dude, that's terrible. So like, it's funny in the past, the dev loop was waiting for the code to compile and then the app to run. That was the dev loop. The new dev loop is, we're just testers now. So testing the app and then trying to describe to the AI what it did right and what it did wrong so it can go fix the thing. And this is the perfect case. Every platform should have this. So it's great to see Maui embracing this new world and closing that loop so that you can just say, hey, take a look at that UI. Does that look good to you? And it'll be like, no, that does not look good. Maybe we should use Kimi 3. Maybe Kimi 3 will generate a better UI.
Maybe.
And do that kind of stuff. So this is very exciting. My one little this is probably only a problem for me, is I generally don't use Maui UIs. I generally do native UIs. And so this is making me very envious, very jealous, because I want all this for my apps. But if you have a Maui app, you should install this right now. You should be DevFlowing. You should have all the DevFlow stuff. It's kind of the classic thing of like, you have to add a little bit of a nougat to your app because you run a tiny server in your app so that all this stuff can communicate with it. And, there's a little bit of permissions there, whatever. You can work around it. No big deal. And you can just flag it all under debug. So none of this will get into your release builds or anything like that. I do want to mention that in 2010, I created Spy Touch, which did exactly all this kind of stuff. I was predicting that in 15 years, AIs would be invented and we would need these kinds of tools. I was just ahead of the time. Just have to say that. DevFlow, awesome, great. Everyone install it because it's obviously required. In 2026, this kind of thing is required.
Have to have it. What's crazy? Remember Xamarin Live Player?
Yeah, exactly.
That was the jam. Here's the other closing of the loop that I didn't talk about here, but under tools in the Maui Sherpa app, there is a tool called App Inspector.
Yeah.
Because you might be on your Mac and you're like, well, screenshots, visual tree, visualization, see my running app doing the thing. How do I do that? I don't have Visual Studio 2026. You can connect with the Maui DevFlow Inspector, which will open up an entire UI, give you all of your tree, allow you to navigate around, do stuff, set properties, change things, hot reload. It does all the things for you automatically. It's very, very nice. It'll auto reconnect and it gives you a whole starting guide. It's very smooth. And this thing works. I've done it on Mac, Windows, iOS, and Android. And it's cool is that the agent, because of the agent skills and the agent custom agent that for Maui, is it knows about all the complexity. So it'll be like, oh, I see that you're running on Mac. On your Mac Catalyst. And because of that, you need to, I'm going to check the info P list to make sure you have this property. I tried to connect, I couldn't. I'm going to check this. On Android, it'll be like, oh, I see that I can't connect to it. You have to do an ADB reverse proxy because it's an Android emulator, not a simulator. And it'll just do the ADB commands for you because the team has told it how to work.
Yeah.
So like back in the day, to do any of this stuff, you'd have to run all these commands and do all this craziness. But sure enough, it's right there, which is very cool.
Worse, you had to read like 6 blog posts. Most of which were 6 months out of date, and these kind of technologies move fast, so it's really nice. It's integrated. This is a nice combination of skills and MCP servers because I'm still skillless. Frank has no skills, but what Frank has is MCP servers up the wazoo. I love MCP. I have tools everywhere. I got so many tools because I love
tools on tools, baby.
Tools that call tools, that make tools. It's all happening. And it's interesting that like you still need those tools. Like not everything can be done with skills because you see a lot of like the basic harnesses out there are like do everything with skills. I'm like, no, you still kind of need to write MCP tools from time to time. And this is a perfect case where like they can just have a tool called like launch app. I don't know what their tools actually are, but launch app, take screenshot, whatever. Those are the tools that you actually need. So very cool stuff. And it's nice to see it all nicely packaged.
I should also mention that what's kind of crazy, this is like nothing to do with this, but they also integrated deeper into the .NET CLI in .NET 10. So you can just do .NET run. And if it's a Maui project, it'll be like, oh, what do you want to run it on? So it'll be like, I want to run it on iOS. And it's like, cool. Let me go look at your iOS simulators. It'll list all of your iOS simulators and say, where do you want to run it? It'll pop it up.
Nice.
So that's kind of cool. That's actually built into the .NET CLI, and .NET Watch also works too. So kind of cool there. All these things. One last thing on .NET MAUI that just happened 2 days ago that I'll call out is .NET 11 is taking a really pivotal change for .NET MAUI, actually, which is Preview 6 just released for .NET 11. And this is the release in which the default runtime for all .NET MAUI apps is now changed. It is now officially the CoreCLR, the Common Language Runtime. So Mono is officially gone. You can fall back, of course, but in general,
it's not officially gone. It's not
officially gone. It's not the default. So they've been .NET Watchworks, Trace, counters. They're working on the native AOT integration. They got iOS and Mac Catalyst apps, it says, are generally faster than Mono. Android is within 10% of startup and app size. So it's the way forward, basically, that they're moving.
I have mixed feelings because for 95% of the apps out there, this is fine. Like the CoreCLR is fantastic. I believe my Mac apps are running with CoreCLR. It's tricky to figure out actually sometimes which runtime they're actually using. I am a tiny bit grumbly about the iOS side though, because one of my favorite features of the Mono runtime is getting the LLVM optimized compilation of our code. And the native AOT, the CoreJIT, the RyuJIT, whatever, all that stuff, good stuff, but they're not insanity optimized, focused the way LLVM is. And I've talked to people at Microsoft about it. They always talk about app launch time and app size. I'm like, oh, those are wonderful, but what is your FPU throughput? Like, how fast is the floating point code that you generate? Because that's what matters to my kinds of apps. And so I'm a little bit hesitant about the future. That's why I was making the distinguish that they haven't removed the mono runtime yet, which is good. Switching the default, smart, because, pretty much all my apps, I will switch to CoreCLR because no big deal. But a couple of my apps are very performance sensitive. And I already get app reviews that say things like, it makes my phone warm, it kills my battery. So performance still matters hugely to me. And so it's a little bit frustrating that some people don't care about performance the way I do. But this is a future I will have to tackle for a while. Thank goodness .NET 10 is LTS. And they haven't removed LTS means like 6 months in 2020
in Maui world.
But the fact is, like, as long as Xcode as long as they're accepting
stuff
builds that Xcode is building, whatever, it's all fine.
And you can use Maui Sherpa to manage all those Xcodes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a brave move. We're all moving to CoreCLR. It's about time, honestly. Good. But I am a little bit nervous about my loss of LLVM.
Let's see what happens. Well, I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited about things are progressing. I think often we talk so much about AI, and there's a lot of these core fundamentals, which I think is like a lot of my talk too, is that there's a lot of stuff just like built in that is available while you're coding and doing stuff that could just optimize your flow, like the CLI, for example, or even the .NET CLI integrations and some of these other things are really great. So it's fun to take a step back and then, on occasion, just the core fundamental there. So a lot of that work is happening. And I'm excited to see it evolve and continue, because obviously this will be the first go around where this is the default. It's been available to like trial and do stuff for a while, but it'll only get better once more. If you don't change the default, you'll never get all the feedback you need, right?
Yeah. I think it's been around since like .NET 8. I think so. It's been a while. I feel like it's been an option for a while. Yeah. And it runs fine. Like I have apps built on it running. Yeah, so I think everyone should switch to it. Because I think the poor team having to maintain 2 runtimes is kind of stressful for them. So I think we can all do the team a favor by just switching over to the standard runtime that runs pretty much every .NET app out there now. So it's going to run fine on modern hardware.
Yep. All right, well, that's going to do it, Mr. Frank Kruger, for this week's merge conflict. So until next time, I'm James Montemagno.
And I'm Frank Kruger. Thanks for watching and listening.
Peace.